I pitched the refugee story until I almost had an ulcer because they didn't want to do it, because I was doing things in the refugee world, and I was in Geneva, and somebody said, "Oh, it's you, you're on As the World Turns." And she was the press secretary to the Boutros Boutros-Ghali, and she said, "If you can get a story about a refugee on any story, I will get you into the camps anywhere. We will get the planes and fly you in." I said, how could I not try? I wrote a wonderful script, again for Larry and for Dr. John and Lucinda, because he would be the doctor that was in Africa. Had to be in Africa.
Right.
Had to be. But they didn't like it. They didn't like that, so we didn't do that.
I just remember I was a teenager in the 80s, probably around the same age as Martha Byrne, and I just remember so many intense Lucinda scenes, whether it was with Craig, Scott Bryce, or always in people's faces, and it was really intense and emotional.
And we had there was more freedom then. I was remembering something upstairs, and Lucinda. You see, they were more interested in Lucinda than they have been lately. She had a secretary and a lawyer.
Right.
I loved him. He died, and because he would be he'd say Lucinda. He'd been in the theater with the Luntz, and he had that wonderful Billy Lamessina voice. And at one point, I'd done some stupid thing, and I rip up the picture of John Dixon. I hate him. And the secretary, I can't remember the plot, comes in and says, "Oh, he's coming up. He's going to be here in a minute." I got the pictures. I tried to put it back together again, because if I can get it back together again, he'll love me. Something like that. That gives me pleasure when I can find stuff like that. And I was saying to Martha, actually, I saw her recently, we had one scene, I said, this isn't real, no good, we were on a dock, and I'm asking her things and she's not telling me, or I'm asking her things and worrying that the villain is going to hear us. I said, this would be better if we changed the lines. You tell me things, I'll say, "Don't know the villain. And we switched our lines, and it worked. And another favorite thing with Martha, she was being poisoned on Malta by Claire Bloom or something like that. And I come, to deal with this. And she's crying and all that, and she won't eat, and she's sick and all that. And I said, "You have to eat." And I had a sandwich. And it wasn't a proper Maltese sandwich, it was Wonder Bread or something. It should have been. But anyway, never mind, the prop wasn't so good. I said, "Well, look," broke it in half. I said, "I'll eat half, and then you'll know it's okay, and then you eat your half. You have to eat." And I did it in dress rehearsal, and then they let us keep it. So I ate mine. I went, I'm poisoned. She's crying and crying and crying. So somebody said to me afterwards, "You did that? That didn't upset her? How do you know?" I said, "I had no worry. I knew that she would play whatever Lily would. We were doing
right.
it." And if she started, and I happened to mention that to her, I said, if she actually cried more and more because, oh my God, my mother is doing this, blah, blah, blah. So it was marvelous. If she'd stopped crying, that would have been okay too, because it would have been real. And there's that trust.
Right.
And over the years with Martha, I'd say, I'm going to cut that. She said, "I knew you were." That's what's fun when you play a long part like that.
Right. We were talking earlier before the interview that you were on our 50 greatest actresses of all time list, and Martha wrote something to the effect of, "You were just the best scene partner ever," and something really wonderful. So
that's nice. Yeah.
You mentioned writing. Have you ever thought about writing a book about your life? Or
I'm supposed to. Everyone tells me I should, and I don't know. Maybe that's next on the agenda. I get, there's something in acting called the golden box. You're not supposed to tell anyone. And if you're in rehearsal and you find something really wonderful that you're going to play in a play or anything, don't tell anyone, because they'll get in there and mess it up. And maybe I'm superstitious, and I think if I let people into my inner workings, first of all, they won't be interested.
right.
Or what interests me may not interest them. So I guess I have to work on my ego so that I think, of course, they're going to love whatever I say.
I'm trying to think of like a young actress that could play young Elizabeth Hubbard? I can't think of anybody who.
I've actually been backstage with Ellen Burstyn, was in the thing where she meets her lover once a year, same time next year or something like that. And the producer is there. I can go back to, because we worked on The Doctors together, and I was with my brother, I think at the time, and he said, you know, I have a play coming up, and there's an Elizabeth Hubbard part. My brother, thank God, said, well, here's Elizabeth Hubbard. But it was very painful. What is an Elizabeth Hubbard part? I'll tell you. On Broadway, or it was anyway. It's something you've got to have a good actor, but it's small. In other words, you'll ruin the whole play if you don't have somebody who isn't good. But I'm not going to get any kudos. That made me feel bad. But anyway, it's okay.
But you do have your Clarence Derwent Most Promising Female Award.
Yeah, young newcomer.
Yeah.
That was, I got that. I worked with Robert Shaw, and it was in The Physicists, and I didn't get the job. Somebody got the job, and she was no good. And they said, can you go on overnight? I said, of course. I mean, I had read the play, so I knew what I was doing. And I met him, and he was so glad to have somebody. Mary Orr was alive then, his wife, and Peter Brook was the director. And luckily, having been in this game long enough, my instincts, I did the right thing. You know, I knew the thing, I knew what I was going to do. He's going to strangle me at the end of the first act. And we're okay, we're all happy. But I knew we only had that one day. We're going to go on the next night, or that night, or whatever it was. And my instincts told me to take care of myself and not let the director fuck around with me. And Mary Orr, I had to wear a nurse's uniform, and you know, your legs, you think, oh God, I gotta get the right shoes, you know. And it was a part where you take off your nurse's cap and your blonde hair falls down and you're gorgeous, you know, that kind of thing. And she understood, because she'd had a bad time with critics about her legs. And we spent the day looking for shoes for me, which was the right thing. We left everything alone, and I went on, and I got the Derwent Award for that. And I remember asking somebody, a wise person, I said, how did that happen? You know, how do these things happen? Because you were where you were wanted, and you were needed at that time, and bang. That was nice. And when I got it, I went to rehearsal the next morning, you know, and they clapped, and I thought they were clapping because I was late, because I didn't know I'd won. That was nice.
Wow. How are you feeling about the end of As World Turns and just the state of soaps in general? Because it's
well, it's fun talking to you because you make it alive again, and your enthusiasm. I'm going to miss her a lot. You know, she's been a good friend. You know, if I'd ever won, I was going to say, you know, I've been good to her and she's been good to me, which is true. So I'm going to miss her a lot, and I don't know what people are going to do. I hope there's going to be something else. I'd love it if, you know, I came up with something, or we shot it the way Martha's doing, but not the way she's doing it. That's hers.
right.
But, you know, something, because there's going to be a gap. People are going to miss it's not right to call it a fix. They're going to miss the connection with people that they followed. And I know, as a viewer myself, I look at television to see somebody I know.
Right.
It can be somebody I really know, you know, personally know, then I look at it. Or it can be a character, like I love Mariska Hargitay. I always vote for her because she does it, and I want to be in her company. Whatever, you know, whether she's playing something funny, sad, or whatever it is. And I think that's going to be a gap. And I hope we're not just going to have amateurs. You know, this also was a business where you could make a living.
Right.
And if you can be the best actor in the world off Broadway, and there are, but you can't live because the economy is not set up right for that. So I think we're all got to be conscious that this genre, with its ups and its downs, and sometimes it's been up, and a lot of times it's been down, but it has made you able to live a life that isn't just worrying about the next mouthful. you know.
Okay, June 7th through June the 13th.
But it's also given one a chance to connect over the years. And when I go to the fan things, they say, "I remember you as Dr. Althea," and I always say the same thing. No, you don't look old enough, you know.